Hey, welcome back to another episode of Geeks from the Multiverse. We are talking about some terrible, and I mean terrible, sci-fi movies. And I have scoured the interwebs for some terrible sci-fi movies. And we're going to break them down. So let's get geeky.
We're Geeks from the Multiverse. We're here to unite all geeks. It's time to get geeky and dive right in. Cause we're Geeks from the Multiverse.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are so weird.
I was wondering. This is why we're glad that we don't have people on right now.
This is why we don't have cameras.
At least for right now, because that would be bad. I mean, if we started having cameras, we need to watch ourselves. But anyways, no. Yes, today's episode, as we were going to mention right now, is all about the terrible sci-fi movies that, of course, Matt decided to scour the internet, as well as even watch some of these damn movies for whatever damn reason.
I mean, there are a lot. I'm not, we're not going to mention all of them, but there are, for sci-fi movies, we could probably spend a lot of time talking about some really terrible ones because there's a lot. But I think I broke them down to just 4. And we're going to kind of break them down and discuss them because I think that these 4 are kind of the worst of the worst. And they're not like bad on purpose. Like there are some that I could have mentioned, like, when we're talking about some directors, like, Ed Wood. If you don't know who Ed Wood is, he was a director back in like the 50s. And he was notorious just for making terrible movies. And he made a movie that was like, this was like his call to fame for basically a terrible movie. Like almost to the point where it's a cult classic and is almost to the point of being funny. How terrible it is. And it's Plan 9 from Outer Space. If you want to watch it, go for it. But I'm telling you, it's god awful. But it is kind of it's humorous in that awful way.
And see, this is where this kind of reminds me of the episode a long time ago, Matt, where we're talking about the B-rated movies in a sense.
Yes.
And so just kind of like putting that on the same scale as this in a sense?
Yes, that movie would definitely qualify, but I think all of his movies kind of qualify because he was a weird dude. But his movies just, they're on a different level of bad. Yeah.
Anyways,
before we get started, check out the website, geeksfromthemultiverse.com. The main page, you can check out our latest episode that we've posted, and we have a whole tab where you can check out every single episode. You don't have to log into anything. You can just play it right from the website. But you can check out our socials. You can check out information on my book. I don't know. There's like so much stuff that you can do.
Point is check it out. Let us know. Message us. Don't matter where. Email us. I don't care. You want to send a pigeon? Well, guess what? We probably ain't going to answer that pigeon because we might shoot it. Or I don't know. That's just me. If I see it, I'd be shooting it.
Whoa.
I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know if I want a pigeon coming out here. Anyways, yes. So let's start with this first movie, Matt.
Yeah. So the first movie, I have Rotten Tomato ratings for all of them. Because some of them are pretty shockingly low. So the first one I called up, and I've actually watched this movie myself. Not recently, but I have seen it a couple times. It's called Battlefield Earth. It was made in 2000, but it's based on, and it does have some Scientology ties to it because it's based on a 1982 novel by the Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard.
See, I do know who L. Ron Hubbard is, but I didn't realize that he made. Or wait, did he make this book?
He wrote the book, yeah.
So
He didn't make the movie, but
no. Okay, I just want to make sure if he wrote the book. Okay,
he wrote the book, yes.
so I find that interesting that he wrote that book. But okay, yep.
Yeah, so he wrote the book. It was directed by a guy named Roger Christian. And it stars John Travolta, Barry Pepper,
I don't even know who the hell that fucking is.
and Forrest Whitaker.
I do know who Forrest Whitaker is. I don't know who the hell Barry Pepper is. I got to look him up.
John Travolta, he is a known Scientologist, and he began adapting Battlefield Earth, the book, the novel, in the mid 1990s. He was unable to obtain major studio funding because there were concerns regarding the script and its connections to Scientology. The one thing about the 90s, if you don't know anything about Scientology in the 90s, is that there were a lot of people really concerned about Scientology in the 90s. And just the repercussions of what they were trying to push out to society in the 90s. Yeah.
No, I mean, no, you're right. You're right. And actually, now I had to look up Barry Pepper. I did know the name. I do know who he looks like, since, yes, he's been around in movies. And, yes, I do know who he now is. But, no, I don't know, Matt. I mean, I know we're going down a pretty, just whole of disastrous, like, proportions of all this stuff that we're talking about. But
Yeah.
I mean, so far I'm not really looking forward to any of this shit because I mean, when you're talking about it already, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I really want to dive deep into this now.
Yeah. So in 98, it was picked up by an independent production company, Franchise Pictures. Excuse me, man.
Yeah, that bullshit's in there.
Wow. No, there's so much bullshit in the air. I can't take it. I'm allergic. So yeah, it was picked up by an independent production company, Franchise Pictures, in 98. And back then, Franchise Pictures specialized in rescuing pet projects.
Love it. I love how, hold on a second. I love how there was a production company specifically to literally rescue pet projects or literally projects that, you know what? Maybe, you know what? Maybe they should somehow save Blade. Maybe they should do that now.
It would be great if they weren't,
What, defunct?
yeah.
Oh, never mind. Or maybe we should just start. You know what? There you go, Matt. That's our next goal. That's what we should do. We should make a production company to save, like productions like Blade. Look at that. See, this is where we're already having a business venture. I love it. All right.
So production began in 1999, largely funded by the German German distribution company. Apologize. It's not entertainment, it's entertainment. See how clever that is for them?
I know. And then
entertainment.
Yeah, AG.
AG.
What the? Yeah. I don't know what the fuck AG stands for, but okay.
Who knows? Travolta as co-producer, also contributing millions of dollars because why?
Because it's John Travolta.
Scientologist.
Well, that too.
Yeah. So he envisioned Battlefield Earth as the first in a two-part adaptation of the book, as it only covers the first half of the novel story.
And wonder why there was never a second one.
So basically, the movie gets made. Travolta's a co-producer. He contributes millions of dollars. He wants the movie, to be two parts. The first movie gets made, right? Battlefield Earth gets made. It goes into theaters. It grosses $29.7 million worldwide. You know how much the budget was, John?
Well, I just looked at it, but yeah, $44 million. And yeah, you want to talk about a loss and a half? I mean, that's pretty, yeah. And of course, it was a disappointment at that time because, no offense, I mean, if you imagine spending, like, let's say it was $100 million. and they only made that much. Do you realize how? I mean, if I was John Travolta, I'd be fucking livid. Because especially depending on how much he. So it's like, hey, here's my millions of dollars.
And I think I didn't mention it here, but when I was looking it up, there was an issue, I believe, with what they reported and what their actual budget was, which is why Franchise Pictures actually went out of business, because they were sued.
Of course they were.
And I believe it was like the FBI or something like raided they actually did like an audit where they were reporting only $31 million was their budget. And they came out with that their actual budget was actual 44.
Oh.
And
so they were fibbing all these numbers.
They went back to like Franchise Pictures and they said, look, you guys need to pay the rest of what was done. And Franchise Pictures was like, well, we can't do that. So that's, I think, basically like the shortfall was like, yeah, we didn't cover enough, so we're out, guys.
See ya.
But I mean, basically, like the film just overwhelmingly negative reviews from critics. It's considered to be one of the worst films of all time, and one of the worst received films in Travolta's like filmography.
I mean, now granted, Travolta has done a lot of successful movies and things like that, but to have like one bad tarnished, that one son of a bitch thing that you're like, damn it, I wish I never would have done.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, the problem is when you're an actor that says, hey, you know what, I'm going to produce like a movie or a TV show, and then you're like, I'm praying that it's going to be the best ever, and you're like, well, shit. Now what do I do? And now how am I going to get this back?
You know what it is, though? You have L. Ron Hubbard, right? He writes this book, and you know the name L. Ron Hubbard. You know that he is the Scientology founder. Battlefield Earth is a Scientology book.
Yep.
Right? It's a Scientology thing. Travolta is a known Scientologist. He is he's trying to make this movie. The movie is made. Society is putting together Travolta, Scientologist, L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology founder, Battlefield Earth, thus becomes a Scientology-based film. It would be the same thing like the next movie we're going to talk about, which I'm not going there yet, but if you put a Christian movie with 100% Christian themes, you will get the same type of fucking reviews because nobody wants to see it other than Christians.
That is true.
You will get the same thing with the 29.7 million because the only people that were interested in seeing it were the diehard sci-fis and the Scientologies.
Well,
you're right.
Well, no, I mean, if you know what I mean about it, I mean, the only thing I find interesting about Scientology, because I not that I ever want to partake in it, but it was just the concept. I mean, it's very involved and very detailed, but I mean, the fact that they're like, oh, you have to pay so much money to get to this level, to get to this level. And then I'm like, well, how many goddamn levels do you have to be in order to get to a certain, like, it's almost enlightenment, I guess, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
Again, you know what? Do you, whatever, it's your faith, it's your beliefs, whatever. No, but you're right. I mean, when you look at this and you wonder why, like, yes, it didn't do so well. Well, yeah, no shit. You're only going to get a certain crowd of certain people. Like, I'm going to say it, right? There's only so many people that would want to listen to this podcast, right? Because unless you're a geek of some sort of things, right? You may not want to listen to us, and that's fine. But like, for their sake, it is what it is. I mean, you got to take your losses and say, you know what? We're done. And especially for Travolta.
I'm not gonna expect like some doctor to be like, I really want to learn about, open heart surgery and hear some like real medical jargon in a podcast. Let me open up Geeks from the Multiverse and hear some of that. No, you're going to be like, what is this bullshit they're talking about?
Well,
That's exactly what people's like when they went to this movie and they were like, I want to like, this really looks like, because when Travolta was pitching this, he was like, this is going to be the next Star Wars.
well, clearly he was wrong. It's like,
Clearly he was wrong. But that's like, it's like expecting that. It's like,
you can't have that same expectation.
no, you can't. Like, if you're expecting us to give you something and like you're coming here and like, you guys didn't talk anything about, no, because we're not fucking doctors and we're not like, we're not.
Hell no, we're not going to be
like,
doing that.
you know
shit.
what I mean? Like, we're geeks. We're talking about geeky shit. Like, that's what we're doing. If you're not
Then I don't know
here
what to
for
tell
that, then I don't know what to tell you. But
you. Go fly a kite. I mean, no.
when you fill your movie with Scientology shit, people don't want to hear that. And in the 90s, people didn't want to hear that. But anyways, moving on.
Hold on. I was going to say, I think most people really don't want to hear that unless, again, you're a Scientologist. Before we do go on real quick, I did want to mention something. So the other day, my brother was doing his little ruck for his tough ruck for the Boston Marathon. And all of a sudden he's like, hey, he's like, you know what? He's like, you know how when you're rucking, you know, and you're just kind of like pushing through the bullshit. And I said, yeah. I said, I do know that. And he's like, you know what I did? And he's like, what? Or I said, what? And he's like, I opened up your I opened up your podcast and I picked 2 random fucking episodes. And I said, oh, really? He's like, so what happened? Like, which ones were they, out of curiosity? He's like, well, I think one was about Tom Clancy. It was actually the Tom Clancy games. And I think the other one was, I can't remember if it was just like another random one, but he was mentioning the Tom Clancy games. And I'm like, he's like, well, you talked about certain things. He's like, I didn't mind this and that. But I'm like, okay. So I'm like, what I found interesting is like, he brought up our podcast while he's rucking, which took him about 5-6 hours from his house in Derry to come all the way to Nashua. And he told me that was how he got through the bullshit. And I'm like, huh. So you said, you know what? I'm going to listen to your goddamn podcast and I'm just going to truck through the fucking bullshit. So you're telling me is so when you listen to us, is it just like, that's how you get through bullshit? Is just listen to us? Are we just like your coaches? Is that, you know what, Matt? I think that's what we should do now. I think we should start, giving coaching advice to.
Yeah. Well, maybe not.
I don't know. Anyways, I know we got to keep going here, but.
So the movie itself, there's an award show. It's not really a show, but there's an award ceremony that they do called the Golden Raspberry Awards.
Yeah, the Razzies is what they're called, I think.
Yeah, and they do call them Razzies for short, but they are called the Golden Raspberry Awards, and they're awards for like worst picture, worst actor, worst supporting, basically like the worst categories of film or TV or whatever. In 2012, it received 8. It was given the most to any film in 2012. So it received 7, including Worst Picture, Worst Actor, John Travolta, Worst Supporting Actor, that was Barry Pepper, Worst Supporting Actress, someone named Preston, Worst Director,
Christian.
Worst Screenplay, Mandel and Shapiro, Worst Screen Couple, I like this, Travolta and anyone sharing the screen with him. And then later was awarded an 8th Razzie for Worst Drama of our first 25 years. So the first 25 years of the Raspberry Awards, worst drama ever.
That's
saying something, right?
saying
there.
a lot. Well,
and then
yeah,
2010 it won Worst Picture of the Decade, bringing the total to 9.
That's saying a lot about one movie. That you're giving 9 awards for the worst film, basically in a decade. Almost, it seems like the beginning half of the century.
So yeah, the worst drama of the first 25 years was given in 2012. That was the last one, I think. So that technically was the 9th one. It wasn't the 8th one.
Well, even my point is though is that
But yeah,
it's insane.
It's still got 9. Is the point? And I think it's no longer the one with the most. I think there's a movie that actually has 10 or 11.
We're gonna keep going. I'm curious about which one it is, but
it is still up there on that list of movies that have a lot of these Razzie awards. But when you're looking at like it's every category though. Worst picture, worst actor, worst supporting actor, worst supporting actress, worst director, worst screenplay. Like, that's pretty much the movie, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't get any worse than that.
can I tell you which one it is?
Sure.
The worst, apparently, for the Razzies is Jack and Jill. It was Adam Sandler's movie.
Oh, well.
But I mean, damn. I mean, I didn't realize it was that. But anyways.
So a couple of reviews. One's from Roger Ebert. His review says, Battlefield Earth is like taking a bus trip with someone who has needed a bath for a long time. It's not merely bad. It's unpleasant in a hostile way.
All right, then.
And then Elvis Mitchell, he's from the New York Times. This one is just, it's just bad. After about 20 minutes of this amateurish picture, extinction doesn't seem like such a bad idea. Oh,
I will say this.
Wow.
I mean, if that guy was just gunning for the fucking throat at that point. I mean,
wow.
Ebert is, if you don't know who he is, I don't know what to say.
He's dead now, but
is he dead now?
I believe he's dead now.
I didn't realize that. No, but anyways, he was
He was like a big reviewer.
He's a big critic. He was one of the biggest critics, I think, in Hollywood, honestly. But anyways, point is, if you get a review from him
and the other guy, like who's
Ebert and was it Rupert? I mean, I have to look this up now. Keep going.
But they used to be the 2 thumbs up guys.
Yes.
But yeah, the reviews, and you can go on Rotten Tomatoes or other, if you go on Google, some of those are really, really hilarious. But the reviews are they're bad. I even though like I can be kind of negative on movies, like I try to be a little bit more optimistic. I want to try to be a little bit more optimistic. I know my whole thing is grumpy beard, and I try to keep my persona alive by being grumpy. But the movie is really pretty awful. But I'll give it some props, and it does all right. But overall, it's just not a great movie.
So it was Ebert and Roper.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah, those two. The point is, though, is like you're looking at this movie and you're like, okay, can it get any worse?
Well, I don't think I actually didn't read the Rotten Tomatoes score, but it has a 3% critic rating. Well, on Rotten Tomatoes, and then the popcorn meter is at 13%.
Well, I'll tell you in 1 second what the Rotten Tomatoes gave this movie.
Well, that is Rotten Tomatoes.
What
I just read, that is on Rotten Tomatoes.
No, you're talking about the scores. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, that's on Rotten Tomatoes. I put it on there.
The 3%?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. I thought you just said that wasn't it.
Yeah, I just read it right up there.
Okay, my bad.
3%, and then the popcorn meter is 13.
Okay.
Which is, when you're looking at Rotten Tomatoes, like, that's, like, if you're going, like, top 100, that's probably on the 1,000. You know what I mean? That's like, you have to, like, scrape the bottom of the pan to get to get to this movie. That's low. And I think when you're looking at some of the other ones, maybe Moonfall. Moonfall has a higher rating only because I think it's newer, but
no, I was just saying, like, what I was like, can these movies gonna get worse? I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Oh, it gets worse.
So it sounds like we doing Moonfall, or we doing Left Behind?
I say, look, let's just go in order. Unless you want to do Mars Needs Women.
Sure. You know, let's go with the oldest movie on the list.
We'll go with the oldest movie on the list.
Yes.
So I watched this one actually today.
Oh, of course you watched it today.
As of this recording, I watched it. Not today when this episode actually hits. But I did watch it today, and I can tell you, the 0% Rotten Tomatoes critic rating is pretty legit. Yeah, it's there.
Well, you were saying the director, who was the big proponent of why the film sucks.
Well, yeah, I mean it's one of those things like, so Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 0% critic rating, and it sits at 14% on the popcorn meter. I don't know why, but it's got a 14%, which is 1% higher than Battlefield Earth. Who knows? But the film was independently made for television by Azalea. I'm assuming that's a production company back in the 60s. The film is produced, written, and directed by self-proclaimed schlock artist, auteur Larry Buchanan. If you don't know what schlock means, it's a commodity that is shoddy or inferior. So there you go. You learned a new word.
Schlock.
That's pretty much like my job. And
no, I mean, well, the fact that he's self-proclaimed.
That's like this fucking table that we're using is schlock. Is fucking schlock.
It's freaking. You know what it is? It's schlocky. It's a very schlocky table we got here, man. No, I mean, this guy literally said that he even said that he's a very schlocky auteur. And I'm like, really? So you said, hey, you know what? I'm going to represent the schlock culture. He's like, hell yeah, I am. And here he is in this movie.
Yeah. So the movie itself, it's, you can't even describe it. Words can't even describe how terrible this movie is. I mean, the title of the movie is the plot of the movie. That's it. It's basically Mars needs women. They go to Earth because Mars needs women. That's it. I mean, that's as stupid as it gets. And it's like,
I felt like there was a lot of like, if you took a look back at like some of the titles of certain movies, like, I feel like especially like 50s, 60s, maybe 70s. They almost did that intentionally, like to give you the plot in the title of a movie. Right. So like that doesn't help when you have a movie called Mars Needs Women. Yeah. And like, by the way, that's
so what's funny plot. Is like the Martians, and I use the quotes here, Martians
loosely here.
They were legit wearing scuba suits.
Oh, lovely.
Like not with like the tanks, mind you, like just like the wetsuits. Right, okay. With the the wetsuit hat head covering things.
Oh yeah,
and just their just the faces were shown, and one of them was like talking, and there were two other ones like standing next to each other. Like two of them, you could tell all they did was paint the front because like the paint was all chipping off. It was you paint the rubber of the suit, it's gonna crack, right? So the paint was all cracking. When they go to the shot of the other dude, I'm sitting there like, I'm looking at my phone and I'm doing like other things. And I'm looking up at the screen. I'm looking at this guy. He has like a stripe that goes down like almost like a V to each shoulder. Okay. and down to like the middle of his chest.
Oh yeah.
And I'm looking at this stripe. And I'm looking at it. And I finally go, that's fucking duct tape. That stripe on that stripe on the wetsuit is fucking duct tape. And like, I'm looking at him like, yep, it's fucking duct tape on the wetsuit. Like, it's not even, like, they didn't even try to do like a legit like line. It's legit, like you can see the tape line, like it's legit duct tape.
I cannot believe they were just like, you know what, we're gonna film this and we're gonna get this going, and then we decided to distribute this across the United States. Actually, I was curious, where did you actually watch this movie off of? Was it on Prime?
It was on Prime, but I have on my Prime I have a Stars membership, but I also because I have Stars, I also have it was a Stars and MGM Plus, and so the movie was on MGM Plus.
Of course.
But there were scenes where the lighting was so poor, like so they had like this little metal ship, like like flying saucer thing.
Yeah,
but the lighting was so poor, you couldn't see the dang thing. And it was like, it was like wobbly, and it was like, floating this way, and then they would show it head on, and like, you could tell there's just a light inside of it. Like, it's just flashing. But like, it's just one scene is flying this way, and then the other scene it's there, and then it flies back this way. It's literally two shots, and they go back and forth. But like, the lighting is so poor that you can barely see it. But there were parts of the film, and this is like the funniest part of it. Like, what they did a lot in the 60s, it's different now because now with cameras being digital, like you can actually change the settings in cameras to undercrank, which is the term, undercranking, where you can actually change the settings and you don't have to undercrank the cameras anymore. In the 60s, you had to actually literally crank the cameras. But you can actually change the frames that are being filmed per second. And now, obviously filming 24, which is the standard, you can film like at 30 or you can film at 60. Or if you were doing like a faster, you can do it like, 90 or 120, or you can slow it down, which is what they did by undercranking. So you had these scenes where, they had these old-fashioned loudspeakers on the wall, and they would stretch out these long sequences, no dialogue, no walking, no doing anything. And they would undercrank these scenes, and they would shoot it at like 10 or 12 frames per second, which, if you know anything about film, that's slow motion, people. So these people like are doing very subtle movements, not on purpose, but because the film is moving so slow. And they go in between that and these lengthy scenes of just one solid shot on a loudspeaker on the wall. Well, somebody is like, you hear we have this. You just hear the voice coming over the loudspeaker, but it's just one steady shot of the loudspeaker. That's it. But it's like an hour of the movie. It's like you're watching this, and then you're seeing slow motion clips of these people just going, like they're not moving. They're just like staring at each other, and then it goes right back to the loudspeaker.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's just,
on top of that, they used footage from like NASA and like the aviation footage to also put like the Air Force was like, using jets and like trying to like, get the Martian ship, out of the sky.
Right.
It's just awful.
Basically, if you say, hey, you know what, I don't know anything about fucking film, I don't know anything about this, I'm just gonna get whatever the hell I can and keep it under budget and do all this other shit. I don't even know how much money this movie even made.
I tried to look it up, I couldn't find it, but I'm pretty sure they probably made the movie with like $20 and a handshake, because I couldn't find that number either. But one of the reviews from TV Guide, and if you don't know what TV Guide is, they used to make a little book that you used to get in the mail. that used to have what was on TV. And you used to have to look at it if you wanted to know what was on. But the review of the film and TV Guide reported, cheap, amateurish, and dull are words that don't even come close to defining this sci-fi mess. It may be considered as one of those films that represents Hollywood's filmmaking at its worst.
I did actually look up just this is an estimate, okay? So the estimate for their budget, okay? You're not going to believe this, okay? $20,000.
$20,000.
Hold on, ready? So we're going to do some math here. Ready?
I mean, it was made for television, so they couldn't have made that much money off of it.
Let's see, 1968. How much is 20?
So converting that in.
Oh yeah, it's from back then. Yeah. So let's see.
Inflation, people.
Oh yeah, let's see. Okay, so today it'd be worth about $182,000 ish. Which isn't a lot to make a fucking movie.
No, that's
no. Buddy, that couldn't even get you anything at that point. I mean, you maybe props, maybe certain things, maybe.
Probably not even props.
I mean, depending. I mean, we're talking about millions. We're talking about the fact that, the new Captain America movie that came out. Didn't we talk about this? It was like a $400 million budget or a $500 million budget or whatever the fuck it was. I mean, it was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money. And
this is like barely anything. That's like nothing. That's like, oh, here's a fucking penny. Here you go.
Yeah.
Like, what?
You spent $20,000 on this, and
and it turned into a pile of dog shit.
I don't know what you spent it on, but I mean, you probably paid for the footage, and you probably paid for certain things, but like maybe cameras. But I mean, a lot of what you did in this movie, like,
you didn't do shit. I mean, shit. It didn't seem like you even paid anybody. Or anything.
I don't know.
Well, it probably kept the money to himself.
The 0% is pretty accurate, but
and also I did see the what I guess what they're wearing, because I saw that it was like a photo of it, and I'm like,
yeah, no, it's pretty stupid.
Weird. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking stupid. Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah. All right, where are we going next? Left Behind, or are we doing Stranded? Which one?
I say we'll go back in order again. We'll go back to Left Behind.
Okay. Are you doing this one, or am I doing this one?
Sure. Why not? So Left Behind, yes, the 2014 Nick Cage remake. I'll make that very well known here. So it's basically a movie. It's a Christian apocalyptic thriller film directed by Vic Armstrong and written by Paul Lalonde and John Pattis. I think Pattis.
Pattis, yeah.
Pattis. And then, so it's based on the 1995 novel of the same name, written by Tim LaHaye.
Yep.
Okay. And Jerry B. Jenkins. It stars Nicolas Cage, as we have already mentioned. The second film adaptation of the first Left Behind novel, but not following the book's chronology. There we go. It depicts the Christian rapture as a worldwide disaster, which is shown from the perspective of one family. A husband was an airline pilot, Rayford Steele. Okay, there we go. And the wife facing marital difficulties in their two children. Well, no offense. I mean, and that's just a general synopsis of the movie. Why would I want to watch a movie about the rapture and dealing with the family's problems on top of dealing with the fact that basically the world's ending?
Well, the thing is, it was supposed to be like a remake of the books, and the books actually have more of a Christian like message and a theme to them, and it's just one of those things like. You take this book, and it's the same thing like we talked about with Never Ending Story, and we talked about many other things. you take these books and then you're like, hey, let's redo them. I mean, the original. I mean, there are original, Left Behind movies.
Yeah.
Granted, they're pretty old and they're not even any closer to being good either, but they at least follow the books a little bit closer. But this one is more about like landing the plane than it is about like anything that the book is dealing with. It doesn't really deal with like what the rapture is about or why it's happened, or I mean the original films, Left Behind, like there's like at least 3 or 4 sequels of this in the original movies.
Lovely. Yeah.
And what they deal with is like, the rapture happens. It's a worldwide disaster. The Antichrist rises, and it's about like those trials and tribulations that the people that are left behind are dealing with. Like that's kind of the idea of the books.
Okay.
And this, remake is, it's just Nicolas Cage landing a plane and what he's dealing with and what their family is dealing with, and not really anything about any of that. Maybe if they did a sequel, maybe it would have, but it has a current rating right now on Metacritic of 2.4 out of 10.
I mean, they could, what the problem is that they probably could have made it an actual good probably movie, but they were just like, me.
They probably could have made it a good movie if they had actually focused on
the actual
meaning? Like meaning and the rapture and doing like the actual story justice. But it's like you focus on doing like what they did, and it was like it was more of like a if you took not Airplane, but if you took the actual I don't know what the actual movie was. But the actual like airplane disaster movie that Airplane was based on.
Yep.
If you took that movie and you made it this, that's pretty much what almost you're getting. It's basically like they're on a plane. The rapture happens. People vanish. And basically people are freaking out because like his co-pilot was one that vanished. People on the plane, some people on the plane had vanished. Like, right. So you're like, it would be one of those things that would be terrifying if you were suddenly like, where the hell is everybody? Like,
oh, it's like Snap, and then you're like, oh, wait, what just happened?
But if you haven't seen the original movies and you haven't read the books, I mean, I've read some. I think I've read the first 2 or 3 books, and I've seen the original movies. Lou Gossett Jr. is actually in the movies. But anyways, yeah, the movie's just awful. It's not a good movie.
What's funny is now this is the second movie we've already talked about with religion. I just find it interesting that when you make
the thing is like the thing is like about this movie though is even though it does mention religion, there's not a whole lot of religion in the movie.
Well, true.
So it's not like they even took a lot of what was in the books into the movie, because in the movie there's not a whole lot of Christian themage in this movie. So, they did pitch it to like, hey, bring your churches to the theaters to see it. And, when it came out in, I mean, this came out in 2014. So like, when the DVDs came out and everything, they were like, play it in your churches and everything. And it was like, why would we want to play this in our church? Like, it doesn't have any real Christian themology in it. Like, you don't say scriptures or anything in this. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a Nicolas Cage movie, to be honest. And not a good one either.
Well, I mean, it's just surprising. So again, another actor who is now, trying to do the same thing as Travolta. Trying to do that same thing, but it's just
I feel like Nicolas Cage has a couple of these though, not just one.
Well, I don't know which movies then, because like
I feel like Nicolas Cage has probably a few.
I don't know which ones in particular, but I mean, yes, I would say the ones that he's done. Depending on, I mean, it really depends on which ones you're going to look at. Because like I just don't see. I didn't think he had too many, but I mean, maybe you're probably going to be reading a little bit more than I know right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe a National Treasure 3 wasn't necessarily needed, but.
Well, I mean, true. 1 and 2. 1 and 2 are fine, but I mean, I don't know. Unless we're talking about movies that he did in the 90s.
Snake Eyes, maybe. Actually, I didn't mind Snake Eyes that much, but.
See? So it sounds like.
I mean, there's actually, there's a lot of. Season of the Witch. That was probably one he probably could have done without. Although I do feel like now Nicolas Cage does movies just to do movies.
Well, like what was that one movie that he did? It was Dracula.
That was Renfield.
Yeah. That one. I mean,
but he has so many right now. Like he did he did one that was called Pig. Willy's Wonderland. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
I don't think I have.
He's in that movie. No dialogue whatsoever in that movie. He's in that whole movie. He does not utter a single word in that movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess commitment.
But he did like Mandy. Yeah, this is like you kind of like look him up and stuff in there. There's just like a ton of movies that he's done. I think in like from like 2022-ish to now, where you're like he's in another like weird action horror movie. Like it's just,
I was like, at this point, you might as well just say
weird
stop and be like, listen.
I mean, I remember The Wicker Man, and I remember, some of these like Snake Eyes and, the National Treasure. I do remember those. Raising Arizona, I remember that growing up. Ghost Rider, obviously, I remember that one because that's...
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. The Rock.
The Rock.
With, you know who? No?
It's been a while, Matt.
Come on. Sean Connery? Come on.
Okay, well, again, man, it's been a while, man. Shit.
Aye.
Don't you me. Anyways, we need to move forward from here.
Anyways, the Rotten Tomatoes on that one is a 0 critic rating. And for whatever reason, this one actually has a 20% popcorn meter. Why? I couldn't tell you.
I guess a lot higher than the other two.
But I guess I will go to Stranded. This was one that I just watched a little while ago, and it's not good. I would say it's a little bit better than Mars Needs Women, but not by much. I mean, it's got a 0% critic rating, and it sits at 9% on the popcorn meter, which I think is the lowest one that's on this list.
It is, because I was just checking it. I was like, wow.
It's the lowest one. So, and I just want to put this out there because we had one earlier that was directed by, Roger Christian.
What do you know?
So yeah, directed and co-written by Roger Christian and Christian Piers Betley. And this one stars Christian Slater. Yeah, I mean, I don't, there's not really much I have to say about it. It's just awful. Like the writing is just terrible.
Well, I mean,
It's just low budget. You know, it's hard to follow. You know, the story just kind of like, basically they get, you know, there's it starts out with that, like showing them on, I think like the moon. And, you know, it shows like a base, but it's like, dude, it's legit a model. Like you can tell it's a fucking model. And like they're showing these like they're showing these like little tiny, you know, solar panels.
Yeah.
They look like toys. Like it's like so stupid. Like it legit looks like a model. And then there's like a meteor shower that's happening, and it starts like, you know, basically just knocking out like some of the solar panels. It's piercing some of the buildings. And it's leaking carbon monoxide inside their building. And one of the meteors has like this weird gooey stuff in it. And
gooey.
When one of the women start to investigate, you know, because there's a doctor and he's like trying to look up to see what this stuff is, you know, and they're doing their tests. Mm-hmm. She obviously cuts herself.
Oh.
And doesn't tell anybody, which is like the sci-fi tripe, right? Like you're investigating a weird living substance that came out of a meteor. I then cut myself touching said substance with a cut on my finger. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
And you say, fuck it. Why not?
Somehow she becomes pregnant. I can't explain that. I don't know how a cut on your finger gets you pregnant. If somebody wants to explain that to me, I would love to fucking hear that.
And also, you'd be the first person to be doing that.
I would love to hear that. But yeah, she gives birth to some weird ass little looking baby thing that like morphs like 3 times in the course of the film. It's a weird concept. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And you know, it's bad. It's bad.
Well, I mean, we'll listen to what Robert Abel of the Los Angeles Times had to write about the film. Stops at being merely seriously dull and trite, rather than tipping into train wreck silliness. Mm. And then, you know, good old Justin Chang over here, you know, with a Variety called the film a blandly competent, thoroughly forgettable low-budget sci-fi thriller assembled from the stray parts of countless others, and then better movies. So,
yeah, I mean, he's basically saying like they basically took other ideas from other movies, putting them together,
and said, "Here you go, copy and paste."
Yeah,
that's a copy and paste.
You just basically just were a low-budget version of. You were the Walmart of all those other versions that you were just...
You're just like, what are you doing? You'll say, I'm just going to take like this part, this part's good. You can go fuck yourself. Okay, and then, you know what? We're going to scrap it for this part. And you're like, okay, here you go. Here's what we got. And you're like, what's this pile of dog shit? This is great. You're like, why am I watching this? You're like, it's good enough, right? Right?
Yeah.
This should be fine.
It's Christian Slater.
Fuck it.
It's
Who the
Christian
fuck's this
Slater. Guy? You know?
Who cares?
We got Christian Slater.
It's not like you had like, you know, Brad Pitt or, you know, somebody big like that. Now you got a guy named Christian Slater. And you're like, oh, that's cool. Who the fuck are you?
That's all we could afford.
Yeah, because of all the budget issues that you already fucking had. But here we are.
We had to afford the stupid baby.
God damn it, that baby is fucking $10 million right now. That's a part of our budget right now.
Seriously doubt they spent $10 million on that.
No, there's no fucking way.
They probably spent $10 million on that fucking model that they destroyed.
Yeah. and then we got a movie called Moonfall, which apparently I didn't realize it came out recently.
Yeah, this was it came out in 22.
Recent enough.
It's fairly recently, and you know, I do want to say this one does have a 35% critic rating and a 69% popcorn meter, which is the highest one that are saying right now. Co-written, directed, and produced by Roland Emmerich. And if you don't know who that is, I will go through the films that he has done.
Which, yes, he wrote them all out because I had to.
I did. So starting from 92, working all the way to 2022, that's Universal Soldier, Stargate, Independence Day, Godzilla, The Patriot, The Day After Tomorrow, 10,000 BC, 2012, Anonymous, White House Down, Stonewall, Independence Day Resurgence, Midway, Moonfall. And there is not one, well, there is one, The Patriot has 62%, and Independence Day has 67%, but there is not one that's higher than 67% on this list.
I mean, now granted, some of those movies are definitely, like, they're well known.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Stargate is a classic, I would say. I love, like, Universal Soldier. I think that one is a good movie.
Yep, The Patriot movie.
Patriot. I do like Day After Tomorrow. I think that was an all right movie.
Yeah, I didn't realize he made White House Down.
I think it's okay. I don't think it's the greatest movie.
Yeah, because what was it, Channing Tatum? Right? Is that the same one?
But I think everything after Day After Tomorrow is not as good.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean, because a lot of those films, well, Midway, I will admit, because I watched it, I didn't mind it. I thought it was pretty good for what it was. Again, World War II movie, but I get it. It was good for what it was. I mean, everything else, I can probably agree. It's probably not the underlying statement of the year here, because we all know.
I mean, White House Down is probably like the better of all of the ones that are after Day After Tomorrow, but
yeah,
I mean,
no, I'm not full agreement on that. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it stars Patrick Wilson, Halle Berry. But it had an average rating of 4.4 out of 10 on Metacritic.
Yeah, a lot better than the other ones.
Yeah, it has done a lot better than the other ones. I mean, because it's fairly newer and there's a lot more in the budget, I think, than the other ones were.
Yeah, no shit. Especially the Mars Needs Women.
Yeah. But this one was shot in Montreal. It had a budget of $138 to $146 million.
See, that would be more appropriate, yes.
And it's one of the most expensive independently produced films ever made.
So, by Roland, okay. Shit, he did everything. I didn't realize he did everything. He wrote it, he directed it.
And it's independently produced. So, yeah, he did everything. Like,
that's, okay, so that's, wow, okay.
It grossed $67.3 million worldwide.
Oh, you must have been pissed. He must have been fucking pissed.
I mean, if you spent $146 million, you gross 67.3.
That's not even half, buddy.
You make back less than half of the film's budget. And that's before marketing and distribution.
That's, wow.
So, you're saying you made it on 146. But you probably would have spent another maybe... 20, 30, maybe 50 million on marketing and distribution. So you're probably talking closer to like 200.
Either way, there's no fucking way that this guy is happy about the situation right now. I'd be fucking pissed. I mean, imagine, like I said, like if you spent $146 million and all you got back was literally less than half of what you fucking put into that.
Like I said, that was just making it. You probably spent over $200 million.
Oh yeah.
Just on marketing and distributing and.
So yeah, I'd be fucking livid. I'd be like, what the fuck? Where's all my money? Well, definitely not going back to you right now because you just spent all of your fucking fortune probably.
No, I mean, one of the biggest criticisms of the movie was, the simple physics of how, what was done in the movie. Like it just didn't make sense. I did see this movie. I tried to watch it. It just wasn't available on any of the streaming apps without me having to purchase it, and I'm just not doing that. Not to watch this pile of crap.
Just to get a fair assessment on the film, yeah.
But yeah, I think it was just like to have it like not, you want, if you're watching a movie, like you want the physics to line up so that when you're watching it, like you want it to make sense in your mind. So when the physics don't quite line up and like things are being done, like we could understand, like when we're watching a Marvel movie, like when the Fantastic Four movie comes out, like we understand that Mr. Fantastic can stretch his damn like limbs and stuff. That's in physics, that would not be possible. Like when you're watching a human being, I can't stretch my fucking arms or my legs, or I can't twist my body like an elastic band.
True.
But he can. Because he's Mr. Fantastic and that's what his ability is. But that it's against physics.
Right. Nope. I agree. I mean, so
if you were watching a movie and all of a sudden you saw somebody doing that, it would not make sense. And now your mind is going,
the fuck's going on here?
Yeah. So when you're watching like, a movie like this and the physics aren't making sense, instantly you're like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And you're kind of like, well, this is kind of bullshit. And I love this guy from the Rap, William Bibbiani. I don't like this guy's name. Bibbiani. I still don't like his name. So he's from the Rap, and he says complaining that a film like this is silly is like complaining that your hot dog is cylindrical. You know what you were buying when you forked over the cash. Dang it.
Clearly, he didn't pay for shit.
I love, it's like complaining your hot dog is cylindrical. You know what you were buying when you forked over the cash.
Dang it.
Like, why is this fucking hot dog round, motherfucker?
I wanted a fucking triangle hot dog, motherfucker.
I wanted them square fucking dogs, man.
He's like, God damn shit.
What is this bullshit?
I want a goddamn trapezoid, goddamn hot dog. Give me that shit, man.
Oh, gosh.
And then this guy, David Fear from the Rolling Stone. He says, recommending that someone actually subject themselves to a Roland Emmerich sci-fi neo-disaster flick, however, is a little like shoving a 3-month-old milk under an unsuspecting person's nose and inquiring, does this smell okay? Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
No, but see, out of all these, I mean, shit, none of them do any justice. But I love how 2 of them are about religion, even though one of them technically never really was talking about religion, was just basically showing that, hey, guess what? We're doing this event about Christianity and certain things about it. But
yeah,
then,
I mean, do they talk about religion? Yes, but it's not like the overarching theme in that movie is not like, we have to get right with God.
Right.
That's not the overarching theme in that film. The original Left Behind adaptations, that was the theme of like, we did not get raptured because we were not right with God. Like that was the overarching theme. And you saw the rise of the Antichrist, and it was like, we need to get right with God and we need to, do the right thing so that when the time comes, we're not on the wrong side. Like that was the overarching theme. This was a disaster movie. But Moonfall was just, I don't know, it was just if you're watching it just from a purely, you know, a movie standpoint, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's okay. It's certainly better than the rest of them.
Well, right. I mean, and then, you know, looking at...
You could do worse.
That's true. Well, you could be Mars Needs Women, who the guy even proclaimed himself as this, you know, this shoddy auteur, you know.
Schlock.
Schlocky.
He's a schlock artist.
He's a schlucky schlucker.
Schlucky schlucker.
Yeah, the schluckiest schlucker of the ball.
That could be your new name.
Oh, the
schlucky schlucker.
The schlucky schlucker? Is that what you said?
The schlocky schlucker.
Oh, God. No.
I don't even know how to spell that, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you...
The schlocky schlucker. I'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out just for you.
Yeah,
no, actually, no.
Just for you.
Oh, yeah, and then what you'll do is...
Hey, it's Mr. Grumpy Beard and the schlocky schlucker.
No, and then well, see, now you got to get a logo. If you're going to do that, you got to get the logo going, the schlocky schlucker. You know, I don't know. You got to... He's like, I'll figure out something.
I'll give you a fucking logo.
I'll give you a fucking logo. Anyways. No, I mean, so all these movies combined, I mean, no... Clearly, the reason why we're doing this episode is that, yes, it's terrible sci-fi films. And so, yes, I made a joke a while back, and I don't know if we were talking about it now or if we were talking about it earlier. Yes. Or actually, no, we did. Yeah, the whole, again, B-rated movies. I mean, it was the same idea. Now we're just talking about sci-fi. But, yeah, you know, so I feel like we've been talking about this.
I always say, at least check them out for yourself. You know, you can listen to what we're saying, and I could say, like, you know, Moonfall is terrible, and then you could watch it and be like, dude, that was the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Well, then good for you, pal.
Good for you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy you found a movie that is really good.
And that you enjoy.
Especially
because Hollywood sucks. Plain and simple.
I'm glad that you enjoy suck-ass fucking movie.
Hey, why don't you be a schlucky schlucker?
I'm glad that you're a schlucky schlucker.
What is that going to be our new thing now? Hey,
you schluckity schlucker.
Yeah, you schluckity schlucker. Schluck.
No, but I mean, you know, we could say these things and be like, you know, these movies are really terrible, and then you can, you know, you could just watch these movies and maybe, you know, you're like, is Mars Needs Women really that bad?
I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, you tell us, like, go check out Mars Needs Women and send us a message. Be like, yeah, I watched that movie on, you know, and it was awful. It was,
and you're like, no,
it was
shit.
Schluckity schluck, just
it's
like, you know,
schluckity schluckers of them all.
You know, and I mean, hey, and there might be other ones that you're like, hey, I was watching this movie the other day and it was awful.
And you're like, great. Now, why don't you just send us a message, and then hopefully we'll be able to look at it later, you know?
Yeah.
We'll see. Anyways, I know we've been talking about this for quite a bit now.
Yeah. So next, I don't know if you saw the next.
Oh, I did. And I'm actually quite surprised that you decided to go down that path.
I mean, I haven't played the games a whole lot, but I mean, I'll do my due diligence and do my research.
Oh, there's quite a bit, especially on him.
So,
but yes, the next week's episode is going to be about God of War, and yes, I personally do like the characters and the, you know, kind of like the theme of Kratos, right, in some of the things that he does, but I'm not going to go into any further than that because, again, we're going to have literally a whole episode on that. And plus, I also need Matt to, you know, figure out his research because I'm you know, because again, there's a lot to that game. There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
But anyways, we've been talking for a bit now. You know, we bid you adieu, and until next time.
Stay geeky, 'cause we're geeks from the multiverse.